guys, so I am here to go over language arts, and it is Thursday, so I'm just gonna go over everything really quickly to remind you what you're going to be tested on tomorrow. So I'm gonna start with vocab. You have 6 vocabulary words, so remember to study those and then take your vocab test, which will be tomorrow. So I have summit, which is the very top of a mountain, and then I have accustomed. If you are accustomed to something, you are used to it because it has been a regular part of your life. And remember, on Monday I said that you might be getting accustomed to learning at home, or maybe not. You were accustomed to learning at school, now you're accustomed to learning at home. Okay? Streamlined. A streamlined design is efficient and has no unneeded parts. Essential, something that is essential is absolutely necessary. You probably maybe have heard that word a lot. Essential worker, maybe. So that's a worker that has to work despite the circumstances. So we can't live without them working. They're very important. So essential is something that you can't be without. Okay? Secure is something that is secure, is safe, and not likely to give way. Hopefully you feel secure in your house and you can feel safe. Acclimate is when you adjust to a new condition or environment. So you have acclimated to learning at home. Okay, so, and hopefully you'll be able to acclimate back to learning in school. So those are your vocab words. Now you had the story, top of the world, which you're going to be tested on. Then you have fact and opinion, and then you have graphic, organizers, and then you have adverbs. So I'm going to quickly go over all of that and talk about the story. So remember that a fact is something that can be proven. So something that can be proven is something that you can look up. So maybe you have an Alexa at home, and ever said, Alexa, blah, 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 you know. I'm trying to think of a really good example. So, a fact is something that can be proven true, and it's something that you can ask Alexa. Like, Alexa, when was the first landing on the moon? Okay, that's something that you can ask Alexa, and it can be proven. Okay, we have evidence of that. You can support that that is true. Whereas an opinion is something that can't be proven, and your opinion might be different from my opinion. So I might say, I like cheese on my hamburgers, and I know in my class there are plenty of you who don't like cheese on your hamburger. So I think cheese is good. You may not like cheese. Those are opinions. So that will be tested on, and then you have graphic organizers, which are just graphs, and you have to take those graphs and answer questions. And I'm going to go over the practice book page that is related to that in a few minutes. Okay. And then the story. Let's turn to the story in your book to page 724. So we read a story about climbing Mount Everest, and it is expository nonfiction because it tells about real people, places, and events. Right? So on page 727, what are we learning about the unique characteristics of Mount Everest? So in that page, what are the characteristics? So you might say it's the highest point on Earth. Many people have tried to climb it, but not all have succeeded. Okay, those are characteristics of Mount Everest. And then on page 728, what is the author telling us there? So we're talking about continental drift. And so long ago, India began pushing against Asia, which began the process of building the Himalaya mountains. Okay, so I've got India and I've got Asia, and they're colliding like this. So they're going like this, and that's what created Mount Everest. And how does this colliding connect to the Himalaya mountains? The Himalayas were formed when the land that is now India crashed into Asia. So when they eventually, so we've got India maybe far back here, and it starts just inching closer, and then they eventually collide, and they create Mount Everest. So, and then on page 729, what does the map show on that page? The map shows the location of Mount Everest, so we can see where it is. Okay, and how does that map support the text? It shows the countries near Mount Everest, which are discussed on the text in the page. And then also on that page, what do we learn about the people of Nepal and Tibet? And they view Mount Everest as a holy place, and we get that from reading that page. Turning the page to 730, what is the author telling us on this page? And most expeditions in the Himalayas begin with a plane flight to Kathmandu, the capital of Nepal. Okay, and how does this connect with what we already know? Mount Everest is on the border of Nepal, so it makes sense that you would start your expedition there. And continuing on page 731, what is this about the Sherpas? And Sherpas are native people from Nepal, and they are used to the high altitudes, so they work as guides to help people who want to climb Mount Everest. Okay, they're the ones that help you climb, or they lead you where you're supposed to climb. And the role of the yaks is Sherpas use yaks to help carry supplies to base camp. Turning to page 732, what information are we getting on pages 732 and 733? It says packing for the trip. So we're learning about what is needed to make a trip to the summit of Mount Everest. And it shows a picture of each item that gives a description. So we see tent, ropes, oxygen mask, mountaineering boots, ice axe. Like, you need so much stuff to be able to climb Mount Everest. Okay, and then 733, what can we say about the gear needed for mountain climbing? It really gives us a lot of information about specific gear. Considering the dangerous conditions, all this equipment is essential to the climbers. They have to have it to be able to climb the mountain. Okay, 734, what is the author telling us now? It says mountain life, and it's telling us the temperature gets much colder the higher you climb. Page 735, what does altitude have to do with oxygen levels? The higher the altitude, the less oxygen there is, and the harder it is for a person to breathe. And spending time at base camp and ascending the mountains gradually helps climbers' bodies adjust. Okay, and what else does it tell us about the ice fall? A challenging part of the climb is the Khumbu ice fall, because there are moving crevices and huge towers of ice that can fall without warning. Okay, Mount Everest is a mountain with snow, very tall, a lot of altitude, a lot of challenges. It's really hard. So the ladders that you're supposed to climb are not always sturdy because things are moving. Okay, the mountain is not just like, climb me, that's fine. Okay, it's quite a feat, and it's quite hard, and people who do it are amazing and slightly crazy, but they do it, and that's what's amazing. Page 736, how does this information connect with breathing? A person has to breathe faster when less oxygen is available in each breath. The lack of oxygen in the air also makes the body work harder than normal to stay warm. These facts explain why it is difficult to survive a climb of Mount Everest. And what does the temperature have to do with oxygen? Because the temperatures are bitterly cold, it is tough to stay warm, and when there is less oxygen, it is even more difficult to stay warm. Page 737, what is the author telling us now? Climbers would not survive the trip if they tried to make just one trip from base camp to the summit. To prepare their bodies, climbers must go up several times from base camp to increasingly higher points on the mountain and stay there for longer periods of time. So it's not just like an instant, I'm down and then I'm up. They have to do it over a series of days. And then what does this map show? And the map shows the route climbers take from base camp to the summit. It shows the altitude of each camp along the way. So at each of those camps, they have to stop. Page 738. What is this about a death zone? At 26,000 feet, climbers begin to get weaker and weaker and cannot survive for more than a day or two. Climbers above this height must reach the summit quickly and stay only a short amount of time before they descend. So even when you make it to the top, you have to be like, oh, I'm here, and then I have to get down because you can't handle it. Okay, your body can't handle it. Page 739, what have we read to explain why someone would attempt to climb Mount Everest? So why would somebody decide to do this? What desire? Although there are many challenges in reaching the summit of Mount Everest, being one of the few people who have met that goal would be a deeply satisfying feeling for a climber. Many people like to challenge themselves to be the best, to go the farthest or the fastest, or in this case, to climb the highest. So, pretty interesting story, I think. And now what I'm going to do is going over the page for the story. So take out page 165 in your practice book. Okay, so you want to write down what would you want to know about Everest, and then here's what I want to know, and here is what I know. Your answers will be different, so that's why it says answers will vary. Here, so pages 727 to 729, many people have tried to climb Mount Everest, the highest point on Earth. The collision between India and Asia pushes up the Himalayan mountains. So on this section, you're going to go to these pages and find something that you learned. What fact did you learn? So on page 730 to 734, Sherpas and guides and partners to climbers. Climbers need special gear. And then 735, 739, there is less oxygen near the top of Mount Everest. Climbers must acclimate. A climber on the summit is the highest thing on Earth. And so, your answers might be different, but just make sure you have all three columns filled out. And then take out page 167, which is on graphic organizers. Make this a little bigger. Okay, so the first question says, how are these two graphs different? So I have mountain peaks of Europe and mountain peaks of the United States. So I have all of these mountains, and what is different? So the heights and names of European mountain peaks, and the other show the United States mountain peaks. If you got something different, that's great too. I might say the majority of European mountains are larger than the United States mountains. Not all of them, but most of them. How are the two graphs alike? They each show 4 mountain peaks and the height of each mountain. If you want to climb a European mountain that is between 14,500 and 15,000 feet high, which one would you choose? And you would choose Matterhorn. I just go up and I say, here's 14,500 and 500, and it's right in the middle. Okay? And you might want to say Mount Shasta, but Mount Shasta is a little short. Okay? It's not quite to 14,500. This question here definitely is up to you. Do you think a graph like this makes things easier? Yes or no, and why? So yes, because I can quickly see how the mountain peaks heights compare. I might say yes because I can easily see the differences in the mountains, or something like that, okay? Well, I have one more thing. Okay, so your job is to do page 169, which is your adverbs, okay? And so adverbs are words that end in ly, and they compare things or they describe things. And then we specifically talked about double negatives and how you can have 2 negatives. I don't say I can't say can't never. So I can't say can't never, okay? I want to say I can never find my pencil, okay? Or Melissa can never get up in time, okay? I don't say can't never, I say can never. So I can't have those two negatives. So your job is to do page 169, which is your grammar. So on the first part, you need to pick the correct one here, and then also you need to say if these are correct or they need to change. So that is your homework page that you need to work on for today. And that is all I have for you. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. I hope you learned something, and good luck on your test tomorrow, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.